I'm here, welcome to my channel. When I was young, I hated having my picture taken. But as I grew older and began to work in the public sector, I learned that a polished, confident appearance was crucial to success. I perfected a warm smile, and I even invested in professional teeth whitening. But there was one thing I couldn't change: my facial birthmark. No matter how much I concealed it, it still showed through. And now my colleagues were beginning to notice. They started asking questions I never knew how to answer. It's strange how something so ingrained in me could become such a point of contention. Growing up, my appearance was never a source of shame. In fact, I was quite proud of it. Sure, some kids called me Freckle Girl, but they also complimented me on my radiant skin. When I was 10, I won first place in a school contest for child with the most beautiful smile. I walked the runway that day holding my head high, my smile wide and bright. But it all changed when my parents remarried. Suddenly, I was in a new house with new rules, expectations, and most importantly, new relatives who seemed to have no qualms about sharing their opinions. It was my Aunt Rubina who first pointed it out. "Such a pity," she said to my mom, shaking her head. "She looks like she has smallpox." My mom, ever vigilant, quickly corrected her. "That's a birthmark, nothing to do with smallpox." One day, my cousin Amara grabbed my chin, inspected my birthmark, and announced, "Looks like beef, brothy and nutritious." Then she ran off giggling. It hurt, and as the days went by, the comments continued. By the time I turned 18, I had mastered the art of concealing my birthmark. Makeup, tinted moisturizers, special cameras, you name it, I used it. But it wasn't just my relatives who commented. Even strangers offered their unsolicited opinions. One evening, I was out with friends when a woman stopped us. "Excuse me," she said, pointing at my birthmark. "What happened to your face? Did you get acid?" I wanted to scream, to vanish into the ground. From that day on, I became even more vigilant about covering up. One researched clinics offering laser treatment, but the expenses were prohibitive, so I did without, perfecting my makeup techniques. Instead, in college, I found solace in social media. I connected with others who had facial birthmarks, sharing tips and products. Yet there were times when the mask slipped. During a heated argument with my boyfriend, he slapped me, his words echoing in my ears. "How could you hide something so hideous?" I broke up with him immediately. After graduating, I moved to a new city and got a job in public relations. Here, my appearance was key to my success, so I worked extra hard to ensure my birthmark remained invisible. Then came the day when my colleague Lisa asked me, "Are you sure you're healthy? You don't have any sort of disease, right?" Puzzled, I asked, "What makes you think that?" "Well," she said, gesturing towards my concealed birthmark, "you have patches of dark skin. It could be anything: syphilis, leprosy." I was stunned. Hadn't she heard of medical privacy laws? But before I could react, she added, "Of course, you should see a doctor." Clearly, she meant well, but her ignorance stung. The next day, I confided in my supervisor. "Don't worry," she said, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "We'll take care of it. Human resources will talk to her." However, the situation escalated. Lisa filed a formal complaint against me, claiming I had exposed her to infectious diseases. I fought back, citing medical confidentiality laws, but the tension at work became unbearable. In the end, I quit. I was jobless, angry, and most of all, afraid. What if no one would hire me now? What if my birthmark ruined my career? Desperate for a solution, I turned to social media. I discovered groups of individuals with facial birthmarks sharing their stories, struggles, and triumphs. For the first time, I felt less alone. I learned that I wasn't defined by my birthmark, but by me. Determined to reclaim my narrative, I decided to pursue law. I enrolled in classes, pouring all my energy into my studies. After 2 years, I was ready. I approached universities with my story, hoping to enroll in their diversity programs. One agreed, offering me a full scholarship. As I embarked on my legal journey, I continued connecting with others online, sharing advice and resources. I also began dating, and surprisingly, my birthmark didn't seem to bother most guys. However, it was my mom who became the biggest obstacle. Every time I went on a date, she would call afterward, questioning me about my companion. "Is he serious about you?" she'd ask. "Does he love you despite your condition?" Once she even accompanied me on a date, sitting stiffly while my companion and I talked. At the end of the evening, she pulled him aside, saying she needed to speak to him privately. I watched in horror as she showed him pictures of me as a child, highlighting my birthmark. Later, she told me, "I just wanted to make sure he knew what he was getting himself into." Following that incident, I cut off contact with my mom, relying on my friends for support. I threw myself into my studies, working tirelessly to achieve my goals. Finally, the day arrived when I graduated from university. As I walked across the stage to receive my degree, my mom appeared in the audience, her eyes filled with pride. Afterward, she rushed to embrace me, whispering, "I knew you could do it." I hesitated before hugging her back, realizing that our relationship had come full circle. Today, I am a successful lawyer. I've won numerous cases and even gained recognition from the American Bar Association. Looking back, I realized that my birthmark didn't hinder my progress. It merely tested my resolve. There were, of course, challenges. I faced discrimination, endured hurtful comments, and grappled with self-doubt. Yet I persevered. I pursued my dreams, earned my qualifications, and never allowed my birthmark to define me. People often ask me, "How can you be so positive about something so negative?" Well, I don't view my birthmark as negative. Yes, it's different. Yes, it's unique. And yes, it has shaped my journey in ways I couldn't have imagined. But it's not my identity. Today, I'm a wife, a lawyer, a friend, a daughter, a sister, and most importantly, a human being with a fascinating story to tell. My birthmark is just a small part of that story, and it's certainly not the defining feature of my life. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it has inspired you to embrace your uniqueness and challenge societal norms. Remember, your differences are what make you special. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Stay true to yourself and pursue your dreams fearlessly. Thank you.